Today's video explores the mystery of D.B. Cooper, the only skyjacker in American history who successfully vanished without a trace. We'll examine what happened that night, the evidence investigators uncovered, and the theories that continue to surround this case more than 50 years later. If you appreciate carefully researched investigations into real historical mysteries, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us continue producing in-depth content like this. You're watching Silent Evidence. And now, we begin. On November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, a man walked into Portland International Airport and purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle. He gave his name as Dan Cooper. He paid $20 in cash. There was nothing unusual about that. In 1971, airline security was minimal. No ID checks were required for domestic flights. There were no metal detectors. Tickets could be bought at the counter minutes before boarding. The man appeared calm, well-dressed, and unremarkable. Witnesses later described him as white, in his mid-40s, approximately 6 feet tall, with brown hair and a conservative appearance. He wore a dark business suit, a white shirt, and a narrow black tie secured with a tie clip. He carried a briefcase. He boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305, a Boeing 727, scheduled for a short 30-minute flight to Seattle. There were 36 passengers and 6 crew members on board. Shortly after takeoff, the man ordered a bourbon and soda. He lit a cigarette. At the time, smoking was allowed on flights. Then, he handed a folded note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner. At first, she placed it in her pocket, assuming it was a phone number. The man leaned toward her and quietly said, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." She opened it. The note stated that he had a bomb in his briefcase and that he would use it if necessary. He requested that she sit beside him. When she did, he opened his briefcase slightly. Inside, she saw what appeared to be red cylindrical sticks attached to wires and a battery. Whether the device was real has never been proven. The bomb was never recovered. But in that moment, it looked convincing. He remained composed. He did not shout. He did not threaten passengers. He spoke quietly and directly. His demands were specific: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, 2 primary and 2 reserve, and a fuel truck waiting upon arrival in Seattle. The cockpit was informed. Authorities in Seattle were contacted. The FBI and airline officials made a decision: comply with the demands in order to protect the passengers. The plane circled in the air for nearly 2 hours while the ransom money and parachutes were gathered. The cash consisted of 10,000 $20 bills. The serial numbers were recorded. At 5:46 p.m., the plane landed in Seattle. The ransom money and parachutes were delivered to the aircraft. All passengers were released safely. Only the flight crew remained. Cooper then instructed the pilots to take off again. He gave very specific flight instructions. He requested an altitude of 10,000 feet, an airspeed of approximately 170 knots, landing gear partially deployed, flaps set at 15 degrees, cabin unpressurized. These were unusual but technically possible conditions for a Boeing 727. Some investigators later suggested that these instructions indicated knowledge of aviation procedures. The plane took off at 7:40 p.m., heading generally toward Mexico City, with a planned refueling stop in Reno, Nevada. It was dark. Heavy rain covered the region. Strong winds moved across Washington state. Somewhere over southwestern Washington, at approximately 8:13 p.m., the cockpit crew noticed a sudden pressure change. The aircraft's tail section experienced a slight upward movement. This moment is widely believed to be when Cooper lowered the Boeing 727's rear stairway and jumped. The Boeing 727 was unique at the time because it had an aft stairway that could be deployed during flight. Cooper had requested the rear stairs remain accessible. Carrying the ransom money, reportedly tied around his body, he exited the aircraft into the night. No one saw him jump. No one saw him land. The plane continued to Reno. When it landed, the rear stairs were down. Cooper was gone. The FBI launched an extensive investigation, later designated NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking. Hundreds of agents were involved. Search teams combed forests across Washington state. Helicopters surveyed mountainous terrain. The assumed drop zone was remote, heavily wooded, and cold. Despite massive efforts, no parachute was found. No equipment was recovered. No body was discovered. The ransom money did not appear in circulation. The investigation expanded nationwide. Over the next several years, more than 800 suspects were considered. Some individuals claimed to be Cooper. Others were reported by acquaintances. None were conclusively identified. An important detail emerged regarding the name. The hijacker had purchased his ticket under the name Dan Cooper. However, early media reports mistakenly referred to him as D.B. Cooper. The error spread quickly. The name D.B. Cooper became permanent in public memory. In February 1980, nearly 9 years after the hijacking, a significant development occurred. An 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram was vacationing with his family along the Columbia River. While digging in the sand near Tennebar, he uncovered 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. The serial numbers matched those of the ransom money. A total of $5,800 was recovered. The bills were deteriorated but identifiable. This was the only confirmed physical evidence ever found. The discovery raised difficult questions. If Cooper survived, how did the money end up buried along the riverbank? Did he land nearby? Was the money lost during the jump? Or did natural river movements carry it there over time? Geological studies suggested the bills may not have arrived naturally through water flow alone, but no definitive conclusion was reached. Over time, several prominent suspects gained public attention. One was Richard Floyd McCoy, who committed a similar skyjacking months later. However, evidence placed McCoy elsewhere during the Cooper hijacking. Another was Kenneth Christensen, a former flight attendant and paratrooper. Some believed his background fit the profile, but no conclusive proof linked him to the crime. A third suspect, Robert Rackstraw, was considered by some investigators due to military experience and circumstantial similarities. The FBI ultimately did not find sufficient evidence to charge him. In 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the FBI officially suspended active inquiry into the case. Resources were redirected to more immediate threats. The case remains open historically, but inactive. Several key questions remain unanswered. Did Cooper survive the jump? The weather conditions were severe. It was raining heavily. Temperatures were near freezing at altitude. He wore a business suit and loafers, not survival gear. The terrain below included dense forest and rugged landscape. Some investigators believe survival would have been unlikely. However, others argue that Cooper appeared prepared. He selected a Boeing 727, the only commercial aircraft with an aft stairway. He requested multiple parachutes, possibly to prevent authorities from sabotaging one. He demonstrated calm behavior and situational awareness. Was he military trained? Was he experienced in parachuting? Or was he simply lucky? More than 50 years later, no confirmed evidence has surfaced. The remaining ransom money has never been recovered. No verified death certificate exists. No proven identity has been established. D.B. Cooper remains an unidentified man who boarded a plane with a briefcase and disappeared into history. His actions changed aviation security in the United States. After the hijacking, metal detectors were introduced in airports. Security procedures were tightened. The Boeing 727 was later modified with a device known as the Cooper vane, preventing the rear stairs from being deployed in flight. One man's crime permanently altered commercial aviation safety. The mystery endures because it sits at the intersection of crime, survival, and disappearance. Some see him as a criminal, others see him as a folk legend. But the facts remain clear. He hijacked a plane. He extorted $200,000. He jumped into the night, and he was never found. That is where the evidence ends. And that is where the mystery begins. That's all for today. You've been watching Silent Evidence. If you found this investigation compelling, consider liking the video. Let us know in the comments what you believe happened to D.B. Cooper. Did he survive, or did the forest claim him that night? Subscribe so you don't miss our next investigation. We'll see you in the next video.